ever noticed that we happily spend thousands of dollars on things that other people could find completely insane? For example, a photographer who travels to Tanzania and wakes up at 4 a.m. to capture that one perfect shot of the lion as the sun rises. Or the book lover who crosses the oceans to stand in a 600-year-old archive just to smell the old parchment around them. Or even a gardener who flies halfway across the world so they can walk through a glass conservatory while it pours rain outside. Why do we do that? I mean, who doesn't want to know why we do the things we do? And if we truly think about it, these aren't just vacations for these people. These are experiences that are driven by their identity and who they truly are. So welcome back to the Gilded page. Today we're diving into the psychology of passion-led travel, why we spend the money we do when we're traveling, why some trips fill us while others exhaust us, and we're going to figure out how you can identify that exact passion anchor that's been guiding your trips all along. So here's something that I realized about travel, both in my own and in the journeys that I build for the clients that I serve. We invest freely in those things that are meaningful to us and not simply things intended to fill our camera roll. And trust me, I know all about falling into that tourist trap. When Greg and I were in Paris a few years ago, we were wandering the halls of the Louvre, literally looking at broken shards of pottery until we stopped ourselves and we started wondering, why aren't we looking at the beautiful, massive paintings just down the hall? And then, of course, we did the obligatory tourist thing and went to find the Mona Lisa. And when we got there, we saw that we needed to navigate all of the different selfie sticks and upheld iPhones so we could take a photo for ourselves 50 feet away. Now, did we check that tourist box? Absolutely. But did we feel anything or remember that moment? Not so much. And that's obligation travel. And this is why I believe passion-led travel is completely different. Passion is one of the strongest motivators in human behavior. It completely shifts why you pick a destination, how much you're going to invest in your experiences, and most importantly, it changes the way you connect with a place. When you build a trip around something you're truly passionate about, be it a historic library, impressionist gardens, maybe a unique textile process, or even seeing if you can find that gluten-free treat that you saw on your socials, you move away from being a passive spectator sitting on a tour bus into an active participant in your own experiences. So what is actually happening in our brain when we build a trip around something we love rather than just a checklist? So when I talk to people who have come back from a passion-led journey and I ask them how it was, they'll say something like, "That was the best trip ever. I can't explain why, it just was." Now I'm going to ask you to give me a moment because I'm going to talk about some psychological theory. And it's going to make a lot of sense about what we're going to talk about psychological theory and travel in the same breath. All I want you to think about is in behavioral science, how our brains handle intrinsic motivation, why we do things that are personally meaningful to us versus things that are really just to check the box. Okay, that's it. I told you I'd be quick. So now let's break that theory into 3 specific drivers for travel. So first up is emotional resonance. And simply put, you remember the feeling, not just the photo. So when you build a trip around something that is passion-led, your brain processes that memory on just a completely different level. When you're taking a photo of an old historic building, you're not just doing it because a tour guide pointed it out to you. You're doing it because you feel something meaningful around what it represents and what's contained inside. Now, the second thing is personal relevance. Passion turns a trip into your story rather than something that is a copy-paste itinerary off the internet. It's literally the difference between coming home from a trip and saying, yeah, I went to Italy, to I met a local family and spent the afternoon in Tuscany while they created the most beautiful olive oil that I have ever tasted in the farmhouse where they've done it for generations. One is just a location on a map. The other is an experience and a memory that you'll treasure forever. And the third thing is instant belonging. Passion is an automatic filter that helps you find your exact people. When you travel with people who share that same spark, whether it's about historic libraries or finding that perfect cup of coffee, you never have to explain yourself. They just get you. You would never have to explain why you want to spend 20 minutes staring at the bindings of a 500-year-old tome, because the people around you are doing the very same things. And with instant belonging, you skip all that awkward small talk about work and jump straight into conversations with real connection. And that instant belonging is the reason why I have designed and built my small group trips for the Gilded page. Now, if you caught my blog post on Monday, which I hope you did, you'll know that I introduced the concept called a passion anchor. And I know when most people think about an anchor, they think of something that is old and heavy and rusty that's just going to drag you to the bottom of the ocean. But in designing travel, a passion anchor doesn't weigh you down. It centers you. It gives you that little tug at your very soul when you enter a space that is exactly what you wanted and exactly what you needed. And the best part is it clears you of that vacation FOMO. Instead of worrying about seeing all the things that the guidebook says or some top 10 list that you read on the internet, you're going to places and exploring spaces that are deeply meaningful to you and what drove you to take this trip in the first place. Your anchor is simply that specific curiosity and creative spark that makes that trip exactly perfect for you. And the magic of an anchor is it can be anything. Your anchor might be libraries, gardens, photography, textiles, culinary arts. I mean, I've even thought of travelers who are chasing down those beautiful apiaries and beekeeping practices of old. Yes, that's a thing, super fascinating. And the best part is you don't have to go out and manufacture a passion anchor for your next trip. You don't have to go out and hunt it down and try to figure out why you're traveling. Your passion anchor has probably been inside of you and guiding your travel for a very long time. So you might be asking yourself, how do I figure out what my passion anchor is? And whenever I sit down with someone who's in a travel rut and they're thinking about where they want to go, here's some questions that I can pose to them. First, if you had a free Saturday and you could do anything that you wanted, where would you go and what would you do? Now, second is, where are those spaces that as soon as you enter, you're calm, you're relaxed, or maybe you're inspired and excited about something that you want to explore? Third, what is a thing that always catches your eye when you enter a new neighborhood? Is it maybe the art on the walls? Is it the beautiful old shops? Is it that corner bookstore where you can sit in and explore and run your fingers along the spines? Number 4, what topic could you read about or talk about for hours without ever getting bored? And the 5th question, and maybe the most important, is how do you spend your valuable alone time when you finally found some? If you answer all 5 of those questions honestly, I can pretty much guarantee that you found your thread and you found your passion anchor. So at the end of the day, passion-led travel just feels different. It's because it's meaningful to you and not just something you read about in a tourist guidebook or you saw on a top 10 list. You're not dragging yourself out of bed at 6 a.m. just to stand in a line so you can check that box and let your friends know when you got home. You're actually waking up because you're excited about the things that you're going to see and the experiences that you'll have that very day. Maybe you're meeting with the locals, maybe you're uncovering hidden parts of the city that you never knew existed, but it's all things that are really driven about what motivated you to take this trip. They're all things that are deeply personal and uniquely you. And really, this is what I call a whycation. It is travel that is rooted in your why and not just simply another destination or another place to check off the list. Now, when you take a passion anchor and you bring together a small group of like-minded people, magic can really happen. Because when you're traveling with the people who share your specific spark, you're going to skip over all of that polite surface level conversations. And so for the next 3 days, you don't have to worry about that awkward group dinner where you're answering, "So where do you work?" every single time. Instead, you'll jump straight into real connection. Your conversations will go deeper. Maybe some friendships will form at lightning speed. The whole vibe of the group feels effortless and cohesive. Just imagine you're never going to have to apologize for wanting 20 more minutes in a space, or maybe taking 50 additional photos just to get the right angle of that beautiful old door. It's because everyone around you is doing the exact same thing. You're completely understood. You found your tribe. And it's that instant belonging is the reason why the Gilded Page trips are kept intentionally intimate. It's not just about booking a destination. It's about building a community of people who see the world through that same curious lens. So if you want to dive deeper into this concept, head down into the description below and you'll see the link to my blog where you can learn a little bit more about finding your own personal anchor. Next week, I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit more and put personal anchor travel into practice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my own passion-led anchor and show you how I build a full itinerary around it. It'll include the micro neighborhoods, the who, and the pacing. Also, you can get a feel about how I put my own trips together. Now, once you figure it out, I would love for you to share what your passion anchor is. Are you a library wanderer, a cultural foodie, a textile artist, or maybe even a history buff? Or perhaps even a beekeeper. But seriously, if you are a beekeeper, thank you. We need all of you to keep this world a beautiful living space. So once you figure out your passion anchor, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget, hit like, subscribe so you can see the very next video where I show you how I build an itinerary based on my passion anchor. Now I want you just to remember this. Your passion is the map, your anchor is the compass, and your next journey starts with what you love. I'll see you next time. Bye.